Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Big shout out to KBCC, sponsors and organizers. Thank you for having me here today to speak to you regarding one of the most interesting, fascinating, but also challenging subjects when it comes to building a startup. So, how Web3 startups can build investor-ready business in Africa. This is the subject that we're going to be going through. First of all, my name is Sam Kim. I'm the co-founder of GoChapa and also a co-partner at Sukuma Ventures, which is a VC firm. We specialize in frontier market startups. Today, I would like to break down what it takes to build a Web3 startup in Africa that can get funded from international and global VCs. But also very relevant, it has to stay investable, meaning it has to go through multi-stages of investment rounds. So bear with me. I'll try to keep it short as possible, and I'll have a very short slide, so you can follow. And if you and this is my Twitter handle, so feel free to follow, and you can DM me if you have any questions. So the next slide, we have to be blunt. See, Africa doesn't have a funding problem. It actually has an execution problem. Investors are sitting on a dry powder, which is a lot of cash, but they don't want slide decks, they want proof. And Web3 is full of potential, but if you don't show that product market fit, a clear demand, and also very importantly, regulatory awareness, then you're not investor ready, period. So moving on to the next slide, what investors are actually looking for. There are 5 things, and this is my opinion and from my experience. And there is no clear ranking of what's more important, more relevant, because a lot of the VCs and investors would have their own priority. But I hope you can use this as your guidance as a startup founder, and try to have a clarity of what your approach is on these 5 things. First of all, it's real users, and number 2 is a regulatory clarity, and even if there's no regulatory framework, at least you know where and who will be involved with your product in the future. And number 3 is retention and revenue. This is, I know, it's very difficult for founders who doesn't have a cash flow, but you would need to do a lot of studying and do a benchmark of a similar product or a similar project that has received good investment. And number 4 is scalable infrastructure. And then number 5 is the local market fit. So we usually come across a lot of startups every month. We talk to a lot of them. But most of them unfortunately fail because they focus too much on tokenomics, for example, before having user onboarding. And then also number 2 is they launch the product without having a clear regulatory guidance. So when there is a change in a regulatory framework, they're not able to adapt. Number 3 is they can't show retention, and this is a critical part that you need to be able to show or be able to demonstrate that you have a clear goal or a clear plan for usage and retention. So moving on to the next slide is investor readiness tiers. Basically 3 tiers. Red light obviously means it's a red light. It's not fundable yet. All projects start in red light, of course, but you want to move up to the tier, and then try to ascend to green light, which is investable now. And yellow light is promising but unproven. This is where a lot of the startups get stuck and basically phase out or just move on to another project. And you need to have a clear sense of where you are today. And you need to understand that in order for you to move up to green light, you need to have an active user base, or at least where the active user base is going to come from. And then you want to have a clean data room. Also, you want to have a regulatory compliant operations. And then obviously you want to have monetization pathways. So you want to be able to either demonstrate or illustrate your methods and your plans accordingly. So I always advise is you need to have a strong go-to-market strategy. Having a strong pitch deck is not really important these days. It's not as relevant, but having a clear go-to-market strategy I feel is very important. And moving on to the next slide. So the African edge. Yes, there is an edge. Africa obviously is a lot of people regard it as the last frontier of Web3. And it's also a testbed of the future. But what a lot of people don't understand, especially from the global perspective of startups and in the VC world, is that Africa is not just the last frontier for blockchain, but it's actually a testbed for products and for ideas that will be coming out in the future. And obviously, this is, as you all know, this is all because of the population shape. One of the fastest growing populations, the working population. So we're all aware of this, but you have to also be able to communicate with an investor how you're gonna have your product into this mobile first generation of users. Also, there's a lot of informal finance, and for example, in Kenya, there is Chama. There's there's a whole world of DeFi that's been there for decades, but just haven't had a big tab in terms of innovation. And then also, it's a testbed for the future, but also a testbed for TradFi, which has been relying on the previous methods for about 150 years to leapfrog into something after TradFi. I think that's very relevant. And then also having a community trust. So I think if you can demonstrate, or you have a clear plan of how you can integrate into the current existing edge, and elevate that into something that is going to be a test bed for the future, I think that it's definitely an edge that you would have over other startups from a different region. So moving on to the next slide. So as I told you, I'm a co-founder at Goldchapa. We're focused on local regulations. We're already in the Kenya sandbox, and we're integrated with local rails like M-Pesa, which has been used for more than 10 years, and also starting with fiat ramps and OTC services, and then also launching community education. And so we are trying to build trust with the community first. And this is all this has all been taking shape for actually some time now, and I think this is one of the reasons why we were also successful in getting investments. And we don't have a very good pitch deck. I always feel a pitch deck is quite irrelevant, but if you have a clear goal and clear idea of how you're gonna monetize, how you're gonna take benefit of the current existing system infrastructure, I think those are the most critical points. And then moving on to the next slide. So if you're building in Africa, Kenya, and obviously it's going to be an uphill battle. Attracting investment is a big deal. However, after that, there's going to be another hill to climb, and it's going to be on a repeat mode for quite a long period of time. But at GoChapa, we're trying to build a community for founders. And also, if you have a project, if you have a tokenized community, for example, then GoChapa can be your launch pad. So basically, it's very important that you have an on-ramp launch pad, which is also licensed, meaning then you're actually compliant with the regulatory framework, something that you don't have to worry too much about. And then also having a distribution rails through OTC and community access. Also onboarding support with Sukuma's acceleration program and our exchange gateway. So if you're building something or need scaling, please find one of us wearing GoChapa t-shirt and come talk to us. We would love to speak with you and find out what your idea is and what your plan is and what you're building, and also what you and how you intend to scale up. So moving on to the next slide. So next slide is what I tell founders. I do feel like every founder has a different story, a different approach, and I don't have an answer for everyone. That's what I found out. And since I don't know each one of you here, I don't know your story, but one guidance that I could give on a very general basis is stop optimizing for the pitch decks, and you got to start optimizing for active users. This is how you build value. And having a hype is no longer a thing, I feel like. And it's more about stickiness. So having a strong community users and be able to demonstrate that that you can retain the users is going to be a very, very strong point to the investors, and it's something you'll definitely have to have in the pitch deck later on. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. So what are the must-have matrix? Obviously, I think these are very basic. You can have a list of 10 or 15, but just 3 things that if you're trying to raise capital, you should have a good idea. Is obviously, your churn rate, your ARPU, and then also your retention rate. And this is for a product that is functioning, obviously. But also you need to have a projection of these numbers. If you're meeting investors without having clear numbers or clear idea of how to get those numbers, then that's clearly a red flag. All right, so moving on to slide 10. I hope I'm not going too fast. Is long-term gain win. So yeah, utility now, token later, I always say. Regulation now, trust later is very critical. And community now and brand later. So you need to have these things for your long-term goals and be able to demonstrate that to your investor. So the final word is, a lot of people say Africa is a test market. I feel it's now the main event when it comes to Web3. And to all the founders out there, I just want to tell you, don't wait for any permission. Don't wait for anybody to tell you to do or tell you not to do. Just build your community and find out what the needs are and try to fix it. And these are the kind of pioneers and founders that we are actively looking for as well. So like I said, if you see any one of us, please approach with your idea, and we'll be very happy to speak with you. So that was my keynote speech on Web3 startups for investments. If you have any questions, feel free to throw me on Twitter, on x.com, or if you want to meet with one of our team members, please feel free to reach out to them. So I really wish I was there with you guys in Nairobi, but have a fantastic afternoon, and also enjoy the KBCC. All right, thank you, bye.